Imagine stepping into a room, right? Spotlight's on you, no script, no do-overs. Every single word counts, and it's all adding up to a score. That can feel, well, pretty intense. Today, we're diving deep into something that feels just like that for millions. The IELTS Speaking Test. Our mission here is simple. Give you the shortcut. Understand the structure, the scoring, and maybe most importantly, the common topics and how you can approach them for those high scores. But look, this isn't about memorizing answers. It's about smart prep, turning that anxiety into actual confidence. Okay, so let's unpack this thing. Before we get into the topics themselves, what's the actual format? I mean, how does it work? When we looked into it, it's this three-part journey, isn't it? Designed to test different things as you go.
Yeah, it's quite cleverly put together. It starts you off gently and then, ramps up the challenge. It really pushes you to show more of your language skills. So part 1 is the introduction and interview. It's about 4, maybe 5 minutes long. Think of it like a warm-up chat. The examiner asks pretty general questions. Things about your work or studies, where you live, your hobbies, familiar stuff.
Right, the basics.
Exactly. The goal is just to get you talking comfortably, see how you handle basic info and opinions on everyday things. Kind of breaks the ice. Then you hit part 2. People often call it the long turn. That's around 3 to 4 minutes.
Ah, the famous cue card section.
That's the one. You get a card, a task card, with a topic and some specific points you should cover. You get exactly 1 minute to jot down some notes.
Just 1 minute.
Just one. Then you need to speak for 1 to 2 minutes without being interrupted. This part really tests if you can, organize your thoughts on the spot and talk about something coherently for a decent length of time. It's like a mini presentation.
Okay, structured but spontaneous.
Pretty much. And then finally, part 3 is the two-way discussion, another 4 or 5 minutes. Here, the examiner asks follow-up questions, but they link back to the topic from part 2.
But they're different somehow.
Oh, yeah. They get much more abstract, more analytical. You'll need to discuss bigger ideas, justify your opinions more deeply, maybe even speculate a bit about things. This is where you can really show off your command of English.
That progression from just chatting to these deeper, more abstract ideas.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a real mental workout. Is there a risk of just, freezing up when it gets harder?
Oh, absolutely. It happens. And that's exactly why understanding how they score you is so critical. It's not just about what you say, but very much how you say it.
Okay, so how do they measure it?
It breaks down into 4 areas, all equally weighted. First up is fluency and coherence.
Right. Speaking smoothly.
Yes, and logically. It covers your speed, how much you hesitate or pause, but also, importantly, how you link your ideas together using words like furthermore or however or as a result. Basically, can you be understood easily without too much effort from the listener? Second criterion, lexical resource. That's your vocabulary.
So using big, fancy words.
Not necessarily. It's more about showing a wide range of words and using them accurately and appropriately for the topic. It also includes things like idiomatic language, those natural phrases native speakers use, and collocations.
Collocation?
Words that just sound right together, like make a decision, not do a decision. And paraphrasing is big here too, being able to say the same thing in different ways. Third is grammatical range and accuracy. This means using a mix of sentence structures, simple and complex, and getting the grammar right.
So tenses, conditionals, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Showing you have control over different tenses, using if clauses correctly, adding detail with things like although or because clauses. Accuracy is key. And the last one is pronunciation. This is all about how clear your speech is. Individual sounds where you put the stress in words and sentences, your intonation, the music of your voice.
Okay.
But, and this is really important, the goal isn't to sound like a native speaker from the UK or the US or anywhere else. It's simply about being easily and clearly understood. That's it.
Okay, so pulling that all together.
Yeah.
What does this mean for someone prepping? Or really for anyone who wants to communicate better? It sounds like it's about knowing what to talk about, sure, but more about how you talk about it with precision, maybe a bit of flair.
Precisely.
Our research into the common topics really highlighted this. It showed how you can internalize structures and pick up better vocabulary naturally rather than just trying to memorize scripts, which doesn't really work anyway. So let's explore some key takeaways from 7 really common topics, give you a feel for how to tackle them, whether it's in the test or, just making your point day to day. First up, work and study. Seems like a natural starting point, often comes up in part 1.
Definitely sets the scene. Yeah, a good part one example we saw was someone studying computer science, specializing in AI. What made their answer good wasn't just saying what they studied, but describing the captivating aspect of seeing a program actually learn.
Adding that personal reflection.
Yeah. Exactly. Or another person aiming to be a data scientist in healthcare tech, they called it a perfect amalgamation of skills and wanting to contribute. The insight there is using that slightly higher level, precise vocabulary that shows real engagement. It connects your work to something bigger.
And then for part two, there was that example about organizing a university fundraising gala. That one seemed really strong.
It was. What made it work was the detail. The speaker talked about spearheading the event, liaising with different people, facing numerous hurdles like a venue suddenly changing.
Brave, showing the challenges.
But crucially, they didn't just list problems. They immediately talked about finding creative solutions, like starting a crowdfunding campaign. The point is to show you can solve problems, show resilience, and then linking it to the tangible, positive impact and how profoundly moving it was, teaching them about leadership. It shows growth.
Did that make sense? It tells a story.
And that leads smoothly into part 3 questions, like what skills are important for teamwork? The high-scoring answers didn't just say communication. They said communication is paramount, collaboration is crucial, reliability is a cornerstone. Using stronger, more specific adjectives adds weight.
Okay, elevating the language.
Yeah. Or discussing managers talking about the nuanced issue of supportive oversight versus detrimental micromanagement and the need to foster autonomy. It shows you can think about complexities, not just give simple answers.
Okay, moving from work and study. Where we live is always a big topic. So next up, hometown and city life. I imagine this pops up across all 3 parts.
It certainly can. Yeah, describing places, how they've changed. For part 1, a nice example described Gdynia in Poland, not just listing facts, but talking about its unique blend of urban amenities and natural beauty, and the tremendous modernization over 20 years.
Painting a picture.
Exactly. Using those evocative words that bring it to life, show the transformation.
And that part 2 example about Kyoto, that sounded incredible.
It really was captivating. The speaker talked about it leaving an indelible mark, visiting during cherry blossom season. But the richness came not just from mentioning Kinkakuji or the bamboo grove, but the feeling that magical and profoundly peaceful atmosphere.
Ah, the emotions connection again.
Yes. And emphasizing Kyoto's incredible duality, a major city with a tangible connection to its past, that palpable sense of serenity. How tradition was seamlessly woven into the fabric of daily life. The lesson, mix facts with sensory details and how it felt to be there.
That really makes a difference.
It does, and it sets you up for part 3. Questions like differences between city and countryside living. Good answers highlight the stark disparities pace of life, amenities versus quiet community feel. Using comparative language well is key.
Showing both sides.
Right, or discussing urban migration, the push and pull factors, or how governments can improve city life, sustainable infrastructure, green spaces, affordable housing. It shows you're aware of broader social trends.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to something more personal. Hobbies and free time. This must be a good chance to let your personality shine through.
Definitely. And use some nice descriptive language. Part 1 examples we saw included being an avid hiker for decompression or a childhood obsession with Lego. The key insight, explain why you do it. Its importance for a well-rounded life, stress relief, skills, mental health. It shows self-awareness.
Makes sense. Not just what, but why.
Exactly. And for part 2, the example of landscape photography was great. The speaker didn't just say, I like photography. They described it as a solitary pursuit. Meditative, waiting for the perfect light.
Getting into the experience of it.
Precisely. How it beautifully merges creativity and the great outdoors, makes you notice the subtle interplay of light and shadow, calling it a constant technical and artistic challenge, but also providing a profound sense of peace and tangible memories. You need to immerse the listener, use rich language about the activity and what it means to you.
I can almost picture it.
Right. And then part 3 might ask, can hobbies become income? The source material mentions the passion economy, how it's more feasible now, but then it balances it. Disadvantages of making money from a hobby.
Ah, the potential downsides.
Yeah, it can suck the joy out of it, lead to burnout, showing you see both sides is crucial. It even touched on risky hobbies like skydiving, linking them to pushing personal limits, the intense adrenaline rush, heightened sense of focus. Using strong adjectives to convey that feeling is important.
Okay, topic 4, Super relevant today. Technology and the internet. This must come up a lot.
Absolutely. From your own phone used to big societal changes. In part one, people might talk about the internet being indispensable, favorite apps like Notion for productivity or YouTube for learning. But what added depth was the honesty about mindless scrolling and trying to be more intentional.
Right, showing that balance again.
Yeah, self-reflection. Now, part two had a really interesting example, noise-canceling headphones.
Okay, how did they make that interesting?
By framing them not just as gadgets, but as indispensable, a secret weapon for concentration, creating a bubble of silence for deep focus, calling them a portable sanctuary, giving control over your auditory environment.
Wow, okay. Elevating the mundane.
Exactly. Transforming noisy places into study zones, a game changer. The insight is to take something every day and explain its transformative impact using strong, vivid language.
That's a great technique.
And it leads perfectly into part three, the internet's impact. Monumental and multifaceted. Positives like democratized information. Negatives like misinformation, privacy decline, cyberbullying. The source highlighted the paradox of tech making us more isolated.
The whole alone together idea.
Exactly, weakening real-world connections. And looking forward, AI is poised to revolutionize almost every facet, solving huge problems but raising significant ethical questions. Job losses, bias. Discussing both the promise and the peril is key.
So much to unpack there.
Okay.
Okay, let's move to something often more lighthearted. Travel and holidays. Usually a fun topic, right? Good for past tenses and description.
Definitely. Part one examples included someone loving travel as an education, calling Iceland the best place ever visited, otherworldly, land of fire and ice, truly humbling. Using those powerful adjectives conveys the feeling, not just the facts. Comparing solo versus group travel also shows analytical skill.
And for part two, that overnight train journey.
Ah, yes, Hanoi to Sapa. That was brilliant. The speaker didn't just list events, they created a scene. The charming, rickety train, the rhythmic clatter like a lullaby, chatting with people, then that profoundly memorable sunrise reveal of mountains and lush green rice terraces.
Making it a narrative.
Completely. Turning a simple trip into a story with sensory details, showing the emotional journey. That's the goal.
And the bigger picture in part three.
Discussing tourism's pros and cons, a double-edged sword. Economic benefits versus over-tourism, environmental damage, cultural impact. Using phrases like double-edged sword shows nuance. Then the future of air travel, conflicting forces like flight shaming versus demand, sustainable fuels.
Complex issues.
Very. And crucially, emphasizing respect for local culture as absolutely essential. Being a guest in someone else's home, responsible travel, it shows global awareness.
Right. Okay, topic 6, environment and nature. Increasingly important, reflects global concerns.
Very much so. Part one might cover how nature is incredibly restorative, or air pollution being the most pressing issue locally, maybe from coal or traffic, mentioning personal actions like recycling or using public transport as small, manageable ways connects the personal to the global. Using a term like environmental stewardship also shows good vocabulary.
And the part 2 example, Milford Sound.
Yeah.
That sounded spectacular.
Oh, it did. The description conveyed that awe-inspiring impression, driving through spectacular alpine scenery to the breathtaking fjord, sheer cliffs, cascading waterfalls, the iconic Mitre Peak.
Make you feel small.
Exactly. Emphasizing the raw, untamed, monumental scale, feeling incredibly small and humbled, and crucially, linking that feeling to a deep appreciation of the planet's wild places and why it's crucial we protect these pristine environments. Use that emotional language to highlight the impact and the wider issue.
Connects the personal experience to the bigger picture.
Precisely. Then, part 3 tackles responsibility. It's shared. Governments have primary power for big changes, but individuals are crucial through their choices. Discussing different levels of responsibility shows depth. Defining biodiversity as the backbone of our planet's health, providing essential services that's high-level understanding.
And can technology solve it?
The source says tech is a critical tool, renewables, data science, but not a silver bullet. It creates new problems too, like e-waste. So tech needs pairing with a fundamental shift in our consumption and relationship with nature. A balanced, nuanced view is key.
Okay, our final topic, number 7, friends and family. Gets right into personal relationships, values.
Absolutely. Part 1 often involves distinguishing the very different but equally vital roles. Family for unconditional support, friends for daily experiences. Talking about key qualities like trustworthiness, good sense of humor, loyalty. Mentioning family as the bedrock of society in some cultures shows cultural awareness.
Comparing and contrasting those roles.
Yes. And for part two, the influential friend Alex, that was a strong example. Knowing him for over a decade, inseparable, highlighting admirable qualities, incredible self-discipline, ambition, but also optimism and being genuinely supportive.
Not just describing him, but his qualities.
And his impact, that's key. His transformative influence, inspiring work ethic, encouragement about university, teaching the power of a positive mindset, calling him a mentor, a motivator, a constant source of support. Don't just describe, illustrate their effect on you, show cause and effect.
That makes the description much more powerful.
Definitely. And part three explores things like, are friendships more or less important now? The argument was more important than ever, like a chosen family in our mobile world. Differentiating childhood friends based on proximity from adult ones, more intentional shared values need more effort.
Interesting distinction.
And finally, can strong friendships exist solely online? The sources were a bit skeptical, seeing online as a fantastic tool for maintaining connections, but maybe not for building truly deep ones without that in-person communication quality. An excellent supplement, but not a complete replacement. It shows nuanced thinking about modern relationships.
Wow, okay. So we've covered a lot, the test structure, the scoring, and we've really dived into these 7 common topics and how to approach them effectively. The big takeaway seems to be that real preparation isn't about memorizing lines, is it? It's deeper.
That's exactly right. Success really comes from, well, internalizing those structures we talked about, absorbing good vocabulary naturally, and understanding the why behind a high-scoring response. It's about thinking critically and applying what you know, not just repeating things.
And you know, the strategies we've discussed today, they aren't just for the IELTS test. Think about it. They're about being clearer, more informed, more engaging whenever you communicate. How could these approaches change your next important meeting or presentation or even just, a chat with friends? It's about making your words really land. We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights. Makes you think, doesn't it? What topic would you like us to explore next time?